Hi. Um, for today's session, we're going to be taking stuff a little bit slower and staying close to the floor, working with a style of yoga called Yin. You might want a cushion or perhaps a folded blanket. I've got a little squidgy block with me. If you haven't got anything like that, then that's just kind of optional. So don't worry, you can do this completely without any props needed. So let's start by lying down on your back with your knees bent. Rest your hands on your belly and see if you can take 3 slow breaths. And that might sound easy to start with, but you could also possibly find that after 1 or 2, your mind wanders off. If that's happening to you, that's normal. That's what minds do, and that's probably at least part of the reason why you're here. So just keep bringing attention back. Then let's cross the outside of your left ankle over your right thigh. So you might find that your left knee wants to point towards your face. See if you can let it fall away from you. So we're actively trying to rotate that leg out. And first of all, just work in this posture with bottom foot on the floor and seeing how this feels. So for some of you, there'll be a stretch in the left side of your bum. For some of you, you won't really feel that here. Both of those are just completely normal and fine. Now, just the tiniest amount you can to start with. Let's rock your legs just maybe like 5 degrees to the right and 5 degrees to the left. 5 degrees to the right and 5 degrees to the left. And perhaps you could start to build in the slow, steady breath we were working when you just had both feet on the floor. So maybe as you inhale, take your legs one way. And as you exhale, take them the other way. So if this is feeling kind of nice, maybe you've had a busy day, things are hectic at the moment, and just keeping things minimal effort with some gentle rocking feels good. Great, stay where you are. Another way we could work this pose would be to keep rocking, but to pick your bottom foot off the floor. So your bottom leg is bringing your top leg in towards you. And then still just rocking side to side. So this version is going to be a bit more work because you're holding your legs up, but you might find it's a little bit more stretchy in the left side of your bum. Decide if you prefer bottom foot on the floor or bottom foot off the floor. And then whichever option you're in, become still. So even though in Yin Yoga, lots of the shapes that we make perhaps aren't as physically demanding as in some of the more active styles or some of the more active videos I've got available. The act of being still can be difficult for lots of people, particularly if you're kind of the personality type that always feels like it needs to be doing something or achieving something. So now we've been here for a couple of minutes, just notice what you can feel going on in your body. So can you feel which parts of your back press into the floor? Is there any amount of effort going on in your legs? Is there any sensation of stretch anywhere? Since the shape is targeting lower body, let's send breath down towards your belly so that the movement for your breath is down towards the target area of the shape. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, bring bottom foot down if it's not already. Bring top foot down. Come back to knees bent, feet flat on the floor. And just watch the sensations in your body. So how does right leg feel compared to left leg now? Is as much of your back pressing into the floor now as it was when you were in the last shape? Then let's do the same thing on the other side. Cross your right ankle over left thigh. Notice where your right leg gets to. So does it turn out more than the left one? Does it turn out less? Does it feel about the same? And again, starting with bottom foot on the floor, just tiny little rocks from side to side, but you're not going quickly. So inhale as legs rock one way, exhale as they rock the other way. Which might feel almost like overly exaggeratedly slow. But I know in my life, at least, I spend a lot of time rushing around. So being asked to do something really slowly is kind of nice. Completely different way of working and thinking. And then you can keep doing that with foot on the floor, or you might want to experiment with picking your bottom leg up. And still just that gentle rocking from side to side. So if you do feel a stretch in the right side of your bum, in whichever version of this you're working, you might feel as you rock side to side, it kind of shifts stuff around, shifts around the sensation in your hips. So the rocking is serving two purposes, the physical one of just acting on hips from slightly different angles, and the more nervous system related one of, for lots of people, gentle rocking can be calming. Choose if you like bottom leg up or bottom foot on the floor. And then just pause your rocking and be still. So now we're still in this shape, just tuning into breathing again. And if your hands are still on your belly, thinking about breathing down to there. Take an inhale. As you exhale, bring your bottom foot down onto the floor. Bring your top foot down. Let's just have a moment of recovery. Almost like a reset in between sides, both knees bent, feet flat on the floor. So if last time we were here, you noticed that your legs felt different, how do they feel now? Where is the main sensation in your body? Can you feel the rest of your limbs? The rest of neck and shoulders, torso, your face. Then as you're ready, let's make your way over to all fours. And step your right foot forwards, either in between or outside of your hands. So I prefer to have my foot on the outside because when it's in between my hands, I feel like I'm kind of near myself in the chest. You could go hands either side or hands on the inside, I don't mind. You could have palms flat. You could be on knuckles. You could be on fingertips. You might see if there's space to wiggle your back knee a little bit further back so stride feels kind of long. If this is uncomfortable on your back knee, you could maybe put your cushion underneath it. So now still working on hips in this shape, but probably it'll feel like quite a different area. Even so, I want us to be breathing the same way. So see if you can allow your belly muscles to be soft here. So as you inhale, belly expands. As you exhale without any effort, it just deflates. Here comes Polly to help us out. So this shape that we're in, lizard pose, is a bit more physical effort to hold than when we were lying on your back. So we won't be here for quite as long. So let's just take 3 more slow breaths, ignoring the entertainment going on at the other side of the screen. And then when you've finished your 3rd exhale, step back to all fours. And either hold there for a couple of breaths, or if there's a more comfortable resting position you'd like to come to, you could do that. So you might want to sit back on your heels to a child's pose. You might prefer maybe just lying down on your front. But again, taking a little reset before we go to the other side. So notice, how does your left hip feel compared to your right? How are hands feeling? So we're taking weight on hands for a while there. How about your neck? That posture can be quite strong work on your neck. Is there a way you can support your head if it's not already supported in the position you're in, to give neck a few breaths of ease? Then when you are ready, if you're not, you can always just hit pause and then play again when you are. Let's shift up to all fours. Step your left foot forwards. Choose if you prefer hands either side of front foot or hands on the inside of front foot. You don't have to choose inside just because I did. Again, see if there's a little space to wiggle back knee back. Consider if back knee wants any padding under it. Your back foot can be pointed like I've got it, or tucked under, whichever feels more comfortable for you. And then for your hands, your fingertips, knuckles, palms. And then just a couple of minutes here. So you can either work this in a more easeful way, like we did on the last side, where all you were really thinking about was letting belly muscles be soft, trying to breathe down towards lower abdomen. Or if you notice that your mind keeps wandering, first of all, just know that that's normal. Second of all, if you're like, give me something else to just be playing around with in body, then imagine there's like a puppet string on the very top center of your head. It's being pulled forwards and up. And maybe your shoulder blades, just 0.5 millimeter, release away from ears. So we've been here for about a minute. If this is starting to get a bit much on neck with the second side, you could always play around with just letting your head dangle. If you have any kind of neck issues going on, particularly any herniated or bulging discs, you may want to keep neck extended. So it's just observing how relaxing your belly and allowing belly to move as you breathe, if it has any effect on the sensation in your hips, particularly perhaps front of right hip. So your belly muscles, kind of by way of perhaps via pelvic floor, they have some quite close connections down to insides of hips. The stuff on the front side of your hip kind of runs up and attaches into lower spine. So it almost runs up inside your abdominal muscles. Not almost, it does. So just feeling if relaxing belly and kind of moving that with breath has an effect on hips at all. And then nice and slow, let's step back to all fours. Choose a position you could be in for, say, 30 seconds. That might be all fours, maybe with elbows on floor. You might lie down on your front. You might sit back into a more child's pose position, or just come to sit with your legs out in front of you. Seeing if you can still feel almost that echo of the sensation of that shape in your body. Then we paid a little bit of attention to hips. Now let's just give a little bit of love to your shoulders. So shifting up to all fours again. Let's bring your right elbow down onto the floor, underneath your shoulder, so that your forearm is going crossways across your mat. If you're not working on a mat, it's just going across your body. Then take your left arm forwards. So if you're familiar with downward dog, it's almost like left arm thinks it's in downward dog, even though right elbow is on the floor. So you might already feel some work going on in shoulders from being in this shape. If so, great, you're already there. You don't need to do anything else. If not, experiment with sending your hips back a little and dropping chest down towards the floor. So your chest probably won't reach the floor, mine doesn't, but you might want to find something that you can support your head with. So for me, my proportions just work out that my forehead can rest on my right forearm. You might put yours on the floor, or you could put your cushion underneath it. So you might feel sensation from this shape kind of anywhere really down your left side. Left lower back, left side of ribs, left side of armpit or upper arm. If this feels kind of pinchy in the top of your shoulder, you could perhaps experiment with taking your left hand a little bit more out to the left. And maybe even bending that elbow slightly down towards the floor, seeing if that fixes it. So now, instead of mainly focusing on hips and so breathing down into belly, for your next few inhales, think about trying to expand your upper body, so expanding into chest and upper back. And while you're here, you might build in a really simple breathing technique. So perhaps as you inhale, Inhale for 3 counts. So 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 3. Exhale for 3. If you like that, you can keep going with it. If my numbers were too fast or too slow for you, you can just and go at your own pace. Whether you're still counting or not, let's have 3 slow breaths where you are. And then when you've finished your third exhale, shift back to your neutral reset position, which for me, I've been working child's pose. You might want to lie down on your front. You might just come back to all fours. Wherever you've chosen to be, see if you can let your upper body relax. Observing any difference in sensation between left and right shoulder. And then let's go same thing on the other side. So starting from hands and knees, bring your left elbow down onto the floor so that your forearm is going parallel to the short edges of your mat or just crossing over your body. Reach your right arm forwards. Maybe grip the floor a little with your fingertips. And slowly start to, it's almost like you're trying to sit back to child's pose. So hips go back just a little bit. Chest, head lower down. See if you can find something supportive to rest head on. And then remembering what your options were here. You could have your right arm completely extended. You could maybe lower your elbow down towards or to the floor, so just a little bit bent. You could try taking your arm a little bit more out to the right. So you're looking for a sensation of stuff lengthening, stretching, releasing, however you like to think of it, in your right side, maybe around right-sided chest, right shoulder, without feeling like it's kind of pinchy anywhere in that shoulder. Another way you could work this is instead of having right palm on the floor, you could rest on the little finger side of your right hand. For me, sometimes if this isn't working in my shoulder, just rolling onto the outer edge of hand like that kind of fixes it. So if this starts to get bothersome in your lower back, you could try drawing your belly muscles in. That will tend to slightly flatten your lower back. You might feel it actually shifts a little more sensation up into shoulder as well. Perhaps if you liked counting your breathing on the last side, you might bring that same technique back in here. So you could be inhaling for 3 and exhaling for 3. However you've positioned your arm, whether you're counting your breath or not, take 3 slow inhales just where you are. And then when you're done with your third one of those, let's make your way out. Perhaps just come up to sit for a moment. Give shoulders a bit of a wiggle. Maybe lean back on your hands. Give legs a wiggle. Hi, babe. And next time you inhale, push the floor away, lift chest up, squeeze shoulder blades. As you exhale, let yourself slouch. Couple more of those. Inhale, push floor away, lift chest. Exhale, slouch. One more of those. Inhale. Breath up into chest. Collarbones lift and broaden. Exhale, slouch. Great. Then I want you to choose a position you can be still in, maybe a reasonably symmetrical shape that you can be still and relaxed for our last few minutes together. So you might just lie down on your back. You might prefer to lie down on your front. You could perhaps sit up if you're going to choose to sit. You could maybe sit on your cushion. Try and find a position where you feel reasonably upright. You could also sit maybe on the edge of a chair or prop yourself up against a wall. I'm going to lie down on my back. I think Paulie's going to stay with us. But for me, when I lie down on my back with my legs straight, it feels like after a while, it just kind of pulls a little bit in my back. So I'm going to have knees bent, feet flat on the floor and knees knocking in towards each other. So once you've chosen a comfortable position, lying, sitting, consider where you are. Could your arms be any more relaxed? Are there any little adjustments you want to make to position of head or legs? Then take a long, slow inhale down into your belly. And lengthen your breath out. And just allow your breath to come and go naturally, so you're not trying to control it anymore. Feel the weight of your head on the floor. And allow it to be heavy. So neck and shoulders relax. Just observe where you've placed your right arm, your right hand. Feel the right side of your bum. Scan along the length of that leg. Feel right foot. Feel your left foot. Now scanning up that leg over knee to your hip. Feel left side of bum on the floor. Whether you're lying, whether you're sitting, feel pelvis just heavy. Feel your left hand. What's that resting on? Travel your attention over your elbow up to your left shoulder. Returning once again to the back of your head. See if there's any tension you can let go of, maybe around your forehead, your eyes, your jaw. And just in your head, next time you inhale, label that inhale number 1. As you exhale, that's 2. Inhale is 3. Exhale is 4. Continue with that, working up towards 20. If you lose count, just begin again. Then wherever you're at in your counting, start to let those numbers go. Just take stock of how what you're doing feels. So just simply feeling body in the position it's in. Observing breath. Seeing if you can just simply put aside any thoughts that come up. If you think you might want to stay here a bit longer, you can either just hit pause or just let this video play out and come up when you're ready. You just had this set amount of time set aside for your yoga practice today, then we're almost up against it. So Maybe take a couple of deeper breaths. Wiggle your toes a little bit. Okay, when you do that, now you can suddenly feel the whole length of legs again. Wiggle your fingers. If you're sitting, you'd stay as you are. If you're lying, if you're on your front, maybe make your way to all fours or child's pose. If you're on your back, you might hug your knees into your chest, or you might, I'm going to reach my arms overhead, straighten my legs for a bit of a stretch first. And then bring my knees in. So from whichever position you were resting in, make your way up to sit. I'm going to sit on my heels. That doesn't mean you have to. You could sit cross-legged. You might want to sit on your cushion. You could sit on the edge of a chair. Let's bring palms together, thumbs to chest to finish. Take an inhale, sit tall. Exhale, drop your chin. Thank you so much.